I'm giving all these keys away Friday on Whatnot. Link in the description. ASM 298, 299, Marvel Team Up 141, first appearance of Carnage, first black suit, that's a newsie. Frank Miller Wolverine and McFarlane on Batman 423. Join me Friday to win one of these books, but if you are a first-time buyer on Whatnot and you use my link to get there, you get a $15 credit you can use on any purchase on the app. Those who do, I'm adding a Mark Spears Transformers 19 to your order. The first 50 people to sign up will be guaranteed a free Mark Spears Megatron in your order. Link in the description. Let's start the video. I think there's a bunch of people who watch our show and bought this comic and they're about to be happy. Does this key collectible that people are investing in make you want to read a comic book? 7 years covering the collectible marketplace, I've never seen a comic book do what it's doing this past week. Like and subscribe. Let's talk about the hottest comic books in the world. At the list at number 10, the first appearance of Muse, Daredevil number 11, trended prior to the show coming out, started to peak and gain steam, and then the character gets killed. And now it's on the Hot 10 breaking records. What the hell?
The pattern we usually see in these sorts of situations, you have a first appearance of a character in a comic book. That character makes the transition to a screen performance of some kind. And sometimes when that character is no longer on screen, that's usually the last time you see that book appear on one of our lists. That is not happening with Muse this week. We're seeing multiple high-grade record-breaking sales this week. It's weird, and I'm confused.
The sales are wild for this comic book. 9.2 had two different sales this week, both breaking the $90 record it had ever achieved, which happened back in 2023. The highest for 140, an increase of 56%. The 9.4 has sold 5 times publicly in the last year, and every single time it came to market, it broke records. It happened again this week, and sure enough, it broke records, selling for $130. Can't even keep up with that 9.2 for an increase of 4%. And then we have a 9.6. Key Collector reported a $188 sale. That's an increase of 25%. That's a record breaker, but since the Hot 10 was released, what are the updates?
Just a couple days ago, it broke its own record twice in the same day. It sold for $200, and then later it sold for $342, and then we had a 9.8 also sell earlier this week for $350. That's so close to the new current record of the 9.6 that I feel like we're going to see more movement on the 9.8 to match up for it, and things are just going to keep climbing and climbing for Muse. It doesn't make any sense.
The only new news on Muse, other than his demise, is the trailer set leak featuring a sheet that shows that there is a Muse stunt double. And why would they have a stunt double other than maybe showing flashbacks, maybe showing that Muse isn't dead, or that he's got a protege?
Yeah, coincidentally or not, in the current Daredevil series, Daredevil Unleash Hell, featuring the Elektra version of Daredevil, you have a new female version of Muse who is kind of receiving like messages, or maybe she's just crazy. She thinks she's receiving messages from beyond the grave from the original Muse. So maybe we'll be getting some version of that storyline in the next season of this. Maybe we'll get a paranormal sort of Muse. Who knows? Who knows? He looks pretty dead, and it seems like they confirmed the character was dead in the show after being shot multiple times.
The way I see it, two things could be happening. People, yes, are speculating on the potential of a future for Muse. Simultaneously, people are excited about what they just saw in Daredevil Born Again Season 1, and they want to own a memento of a very memorable character. I want to know from you, Ryan, I'm going to ask you this multiple times throughout this Hot 10. Does this key collectible that people are investing in make you want to read a comic book?
Well, I pretty much always want to read comics, and I especially always want to be reading modern Daredevil. And if you want to read modern Daredevil, you should probably start with the Brian Michael Bendis run, which starts with Daredevil number 16 from 2001. I personally still need to read all this Charles Soule Muse stuff. I'm kind of saving it. I know it's going to be awesome, clearly. So go track that run down, too. That starts in 2016.
Big thank you to those who commented first on our last Hot 10. We appreciate you hitting that notification bell. We got to jump right back into this list at number 9 because we have over $260,000 worth of sales that we're reporting on today. And this one has a monster that we haven't seen in nearly a decade. Silver Surfer number 1, the first appearance of Shatilov, a 9.8, one of only 10 to exist, has sold. And oh, wow. Talk about a basically house that just sold.
So on top of that Monster 9.8 sale that Tom just mentioned, we did have some more movement, sales above average in some of the middle grades on this book. A 5.0 had its highest sale of the year this week, $675 for a 33% increase over its 12-month average. And the 6.5 also had its highest sale of the year this past week, $810. That's only 4% up, but that still counts.
Last time a 9.8 publicly sold, it went for $33,000 in 2016. This most recent 9.8 sale puts it at $132,000. That is crazy. half of the sales this week come from this one book. Shatilov, we haven't seen her yet, but by the time that this video comes out, I wouldn't be surprised if everyone else has.
Marvel is clearly focusing on Thunderbolts right now. That movie comes out in a couple weeks. And I'm pretty sure after that, the next thing on the horizon is Fantastic Four. That comes out in the middle of the summer, I think. So I feel like we got to get another trailer, or at least a glimpse of Silver Surfer, but it's not hard to visualize. It's going to look like a person covered in silver riding on a board. I mean, I feel like I can visualize how this character is going to look. But take a good look at this cover one more time. This book is a big one. It's a square-bound book. It's black. It is black, and that's why you don't see 9/8 of this book really ever. And the fact that we saw this sale this week before the movie comes out has me thinking like all kinds of stuff about the potential for this whole character and like the Galactus trilogy and the Fantastic Four books. We're going to be seeing a lot of that, I think, in the next few months.
During CinemaCon a little over a week ago, they actually showed the new trailer, and there were people who witnessed Shatilov on the screen. Crazy that they kept that so under wraps, though. I was not able to find that on the internet whatsoever. Seeing Silver Surfer 1 make the list, do you have any recommendations?
Always. Silver Surfer Black. That's always the recommendation for me. The 5-issue mini from Donny Cates and Trad Moore. The art will blow your mind. It is very much worth reading. You'll also get some good Null origin stuff in there too.
I think there's a bunch of people who watch our show and bought this comic, and they're about to be happy.
Number 8 on the list, we got Noble Causes Family Secrets #3, a comic book I did not know existed. This came out in 2002, and in here you have the first cameo appearance of Invincible.
There was a bunch of them that actually featured a preview of Invincible. This one's the first one, and Russ and I actually mentioned this during coverage about a month ago on the sly, pointing out that this doesn't make sense. This book is selling too cheap. It was selling for under $100 at a 9.8, and we pointed it out and said, get this book now. We think it's undervalued.
I think you're right. I think people were listening to you. We saw 2 record-breaking sales, pretty high grades too. A 9.4 set a new record this week for $130. That's 53% up. And then the 9.8 just hit $400 for the first time ever. 14% over its previous $350 record.
3 different 9.6s sold this past week, the highest for an increase of 25%, going for $150. You're welcome.
Heads up, we're almost sold out on the Mystery Mail Call this month. We're doing a John Boy Myers book for Amazing Spider-Man #1. It is an homage cover to Amazing Spider-Man #135, and it's pretty damn cool if you ask me. I didn't know it was an homage, but when you see them side by side, I love it.
The other guarantee, 1 per box, is an Ultimate Spider-Man #14, limited to 1,000, Virgin variant by John Jang. ComicTom.com, link in the description. It's what funds our show, which we do every week for you. So we appreciate your support. And number 7 on the list, our first updates about Lobo since the news broke that Jason Momoa was taking on the role as the character. Omega Man #3, first appearance of Lobo.
So the Minecraft movie is currently blowing up the box office, kind of surprising me, to be completely honest. Jason Momoa is in that movie, and while doing press for the Minecraft movie, he was asked about Lobo, and he had some pretty interesting updates.
This is the role I always wanted to play. That's the comic I loved. I'm really nervous about it. It's kind of a no-brainer to play this character. It's pretty big. I don't want to give away too much, but I mean, we look pretty dead on, exactly like the character, and he's pretty rough and gruff. I'll say the bike's pretty cool.
So that's a pretty, as somebody who's not the biggest fan of Lobo, I can't help but get excited about this. It's his excitement for this character is making me get excited, which is awesome because I didn't think I would really care that much, but I'm getting more and more pumped about this. I actually kind of want to go see the Minecraft movie. I'm getting a little bit of a Jason Momoa, like I gotta scratch the itch somehow, you know?
We have a 9.6 for first Lobo, going for $190, up 37%. 6 copies outdid the recent 12-month average. The 9.8 sold for $350 on the high this last week. That's 13% above the recent 12-month average. And 4 copies outdid that recent 12-month average in the last 7 days. We also got updates on Supergirl, our first shot of Millie Alcock, and she was reading the book that the movie is based off of. I'm assuming that's going to be your reading recommendation by Tom King?
Correct. Tom King and Bilquis Evely, A Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. It is one of the best books of the 2020s. It needs to be read. Also by Tom King, however, the book Love Everlasting, Tom King and Elsa Charretier, was optioned by Sony this week. I'm going to predict that will be on the trending list later this week, too. Tom King gets a bad rap. Go read both of these books and probably a bunch of his other stuff too. Shout out Penguin.
Which brings us to number 6 on the list with Strange Tales 169, the first appearance of Brother Voodoo. And I want to remind the community that we did a +2 pick with the Guru about a month ago. And this was his pick. He said he thought that this book had potential. It was undervalued, especially in grade. And I think the community's ears peaked up because not only did it start to trend on the Hot 10 after that coverage, it's now ranking midway through our list today.
And it's been on the list 3 weeks in a row. Shout out also to our commenter, Cubo Cellini, who just pointed out that was his 7.5 purchase of this book last week, too. So it's fun to see people go out and grab the books, participate in the community, and then also participate in the comment section. We thank you.
Let's kick it to the community. I want to know if you've purchased any key comics over this last month. What was the last one? What was your favorite one? Let me know in the comment section below. The 5.5 of First Brother Voodoo had a year high sale for $166. That's up 31%. The 6.5 had a year high sale of $219, up 42%. The 8.5 sold for $324. That's up 5%. You can get a 9.0 for $395. That's what someone just paid for, and that's up 3%. A 9.0 from 1973 for the first appearance. That seems like a freaking awesome deal.
And as far as like recent appearances of Brother Voodoo, I'm not plugged into the magical side of the Marvel Universe too much, but I do know he was one of the teachers in Strange Academy, the Scotty Young run with Roberto Ramos. Very much worth reading, and it was going to be brought to the MCU. I don't know if it was animated or live action, or if it even got that far into the process, because they've already shelved the Strange Academy project, which would have been like the most obvious way to include this character on screen in some capacity, but I feel like it's just a matter of time.
It's kind of like the Nova situation. You know they have intentions for the character. Hell, they even filmed something with Brother Voodoo that got left on the cutting room floor for Doctor Strange. But the actor was cast. We saw this scene take place. You can watch this on YouTube. And then with the Strange Academy spec that was solidified, it just got shelved for a bit. It shows an intention that people have not forgotten about.
Say goodbye to this guy. He's going to be gone for the rest of the week. I'll be filling in for Tom for the next video or two. I'm not even sure at this point. He's going to C2E2. It is a convention happening in Chicago, and if you, like me, are not going to be at this convention in Chicago, you can check Key Collector Comics. There is a whole category on there for C2E2 exclusives. You can get a look at all of the cool new exclusive convention-only books that are going to be dropping this weekend, and there's a whole bunch of other useful categories on the app too. Go check it out. Code TOM101 will give you 2 free weeks of the free paid version of the app that you can use for 2 weeks, but it's not that expensive. Even after the 2 weeks are up, you're probably going to want to keep going.
Number 5 on the list is Amazing Spider-Man 300. First full appearance of Venom. Newsstand 9.2 up 6%. 9.4 up 1%. 9.6 going for $950 up 11%. And a 9.8 sold for $2,800. That's up 4%. I sold a 9.8 this last year for around $2,700. This book has been hovering between like 25 and 3K strong, despite the increase to census count that happens every single time we report on this number. The 9.8 has 1,719 total copies, and since the last time it made the list, 3 weeks ago, there's been 7 new ones added.
It feels like we talk about this book pretty much every week, but like Tom mentioned, it has been 3 weeks since it's made the list. There's been a lot of symbiote love lately, and this book does not need any sort of movie stuff happening on the screen to make it happen to pop up on the list. It's one of the most important books of the modern era of comics.
A lot of love for Venom, a lot of love for this book, but symbiote conversations on the internet are a little hot right now in a bad way, specifically with all new Venom number 5. Now, I already chatted about this last week with Russ. I want to know your thoughts about Al Ewing's decision to pass the symbiote to Mary Jane after essentially lying to everybody because the deception was real.
Yeah, I've been reading All New Venom since the beginning, and there's been a suspect list of who was under this new symbiote, and spoilers, Mary Jane was not even one of those suspects this entire time. I have not read issue 5 yet, so I have not seen this reveal for myself. However, I am excited to see the reveal and where it goes from here, because I think he's got a lot of splaining to do.
On one end, totally understand the disappointment. But here's the thing that people are missing during their coverage about this decision Al Ewing made. Is that it's a decision by Al Ewing. This guy can really do no wrong. I mean, Absolute Green Lantern, must read. You need to be reading Immortal Thor, regardless of if you're a Thor fan. And then just reread Immortal Hulk, just because if you haven't read it in the last couple years, you're due to refresh yourself, to remind yourself that this is a writer that's going to always take risks. And it's some of the most innovative modern day comic book storytelling every single time he hits the page.
Immortal Hulk is a gigantic 50-issue epic, and he laid the groundwork pretty much from the get-go for all 50 issues. So sometimes you got to stay in for the long haul, and I think All New Venom might be going that direction. Maybe not 50 issues of Mary Jane Venom, but, you know, give it time, play it out, and see how it goes.
Now we're at the list at number 4 with one of the hottest books in the world. Have you hit the subscribe button yet? Amazing Spider-Man 252, the first appearance of the black suit in ASM continuity. And although we have a few updates today about Spider-Man 4, I still think this is the calm before the storm. We haven't even begun to see the symbiote spec, the Spider-Man spec take off. And this right here has 12 different sales, outperforming the recent 12-month average, totaling over $4,000. Peep Key Collector for all the numbers. I'm going to start you off with a 9.4, selling for $280, up 10%. 9.6 selling for $411, up 14%. A Newsy 9.6 sold for $425, up 10%. And a Newsy 9.8 sold for $1490. That's up 9%.
So we do know the movie's going to be called Brand New Day, right? It feels like the calm before the storm as production starts to get into gear for this movie. We do have another book on the list later on that outperformed this one, so maybe that, the storm is kind of coming sooner than we thought, maybe like in a couple minutes. Stay tuned.
Number 3 on the list is Giant Size X-Men #1. First appearance of the new team. And seeing 4 sales outdo the recent 12-month average, that's no surprise. Everyone loves this book. But seeing $42,000 sell in 7 days, something happened. Oh, a 9.8 came to market.
There was a 9.8 sale, but before we get to that, let's talk about the 4.0. That is up 8% this past week. The 5.0, however, had its year-high sale this past week, $1,699 for a 7% increase to be exact. And the 8.0 just hit $3,100. That's up 4%. Now, the 9.8 is up 11%, just hit $36,000 this past week. That is a big deal, and that's clearly a big part of all the money responsible for this book over this last week.
$36,000 is a very impressive sale, considering that the last 9.8 hit 30 just a couple months ago. It is up. However, it is down by literally half since its heights were reached of $72,000 back in 2021.
So we did get confirmation that the second season of Marvel Rivals is going to take place on the Hellfire Gala. It's going to be a lot of X-Men Mutant Krakoa stuff. I don't think that's going to cause a bunch of people to run out and buy a book of this caliber because of that update. So who knows if that's really what's the reason here. We've also got the casting for Avengers Doomsday. There's a whole bunch of X-Men coming back in that movie. That seems a little more plausible to me, but more on that later because we've got another book to get to on the list. Number 2 on the list. We're going back to Spider-Man stuff.
Ooh, Amazing Spider-Man 14, first appearance of the Green Goblin. We got Ditko goodness. This right here is a refreshing book to see on the Hot 10. If you like this comic book, you need to let me know what other Silver Age ASM keys that you are looking at right now. We have multiple sales trending above the recent 12-month average, and I can't help but think that it has to do with Spider-Man 4, but is that bad thinking?
Now, on the big screen, we haven't seen Norman Osborn since Spider-Man No Way Home when Willem Dafoe came back for a really fun return to that character from the first Spider-Man movie, like over 20 years ago at this point. Is this a bad idea, though? Are we going to be seeing more Norman Osborn on the big screen? We haven't seen any Osborn anything at all in the Tom Holland Spider-Verse. There's no Harry Osborn. There's no Norman Osborn. There's no Oscorp. We don't know any of that stuff. It doesn't seem like they're going to incorporate that character. However, we did just get Norman Osborn in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man animated series. He was included there. We're also getting Harry Osborn as the Green Goblin in the Ultimate Spider-Man run. I don't think that's causing people to go out and buy ASM 14 either, but that is a cool twist on the typical relationship. Harry Osborn and Spider-Man are working alongside each other, the Green Goblin and Spider-Man. It's a really weird take on their dynamic.
Now, there was some casting calls looking for someone between the age of 30 to 50 years old, a no-nonsense personality. And a lot of people are thinking that could be Norman, even though we don't expect to see Oscorp in the MCU, because as of right now, it doesn't exist.
And honestly, I feel like that's such a broad casting. That can apply to pretty much any one of Spider-Man's villains, except for maybe Vulture, who's like 97,000 years old. So
can you imagine if it's actually Mr. Negative and Brand New Day just gets the compound effect of not just like name of story key spiking, but it becomes a first appearance spec.
And again, Mr. Negative is also featured pretty heavily in Ultimate Spider-Man. He's a member of the Ultimate Sinister Six. He was obviously featured pretty thoroughly in the Spider-Man 2018 PlayStation game. Mr. Negative's profile is
Damn
really
it, Ryan.
high.
We're talking about Green Goblin. We gotta get back to the Green Goblin. 1.8 is up 16%, going for 980. 5.0 had a year high sale for $25.75, up 25%. The 5.5 had a year high sale, up 16%, going for $28.50. And we also have a 7.5, up 2%, going for $42.50.
And in case you couldn't pick it up from my multiple mentions in this number, go read Ultimate Spider-Man. It is possibly the best book Marvel's putting out right now, and it is definitely better than Amazing Spider-Man. Shots fired.
I will also say that the only 9.8 copy of ASM 14 that has ever sold happened back in 2021. Heritage Auctions for $210,000. Shout out Madam Web, baby.
Tom's going to finance the sequel all by himself. He's going to play all the roles all by himself.
Dude, that number is, I see 210.
All right.
everywhere. Hit the like, slap the subscribe button, and the #1 hottest book in the world. It's Uncanny X-Men 94. What's happening right now?
I think I'm blaming this on Avengers Doomsday. I'm blaming this on the return of all these old Fox X-Men characters to the MCU, even though I want them to cut and move on and reboot it already, damn it. It's been freaking almost 30 years.
6 sales, $60,000. I love this comic book. This comic book is so undervalued. It's so underappreciated. It's so underrated. It's the second appearance of the new team, but more importantly, Chris Claremont's run on X-Men, his legendary run that would change the course of this IP forever, starts here. 5.0, up 4% for $400. 7.5, up 16%, $750. 9.0, up 21% for $1,575, and a 9.8, up 36%. Where was selling on average for sub $40,000 has sold for $52,800.
It feels like there's no other reason for two big mutant books to be this high on the list this week if it's not because of Avengers Doomsday and the recent reveal of a lot of mutants returning to this movie. Because the main rebooted X-Men movie is so far off in the distance, I don't think we can blame these books spiking on that future eventual news, even though, you know, it's maybe not a bad time to start preparing for that eventuality. Hopefully they will reboot this movie and this property, finally give us new versions of these characters that can actually play the roles moving on into the future, because it's time to just let Patrick Stewart take a break, damn it.
Well, check this out. Giant Size X-Men #1 at a 9.8. There's over 250 copies that exist. And the heights that book reached was over $70,000. X-Men 94 has a lonely 50 copies at 9.8. It is way scarcer than Giant Size. And its heights were also reached at just above $70,000. And it's outperforming Giant Size X-Men officially this week.
And if you're local, the entire cast of X-Men 97 has actually been confirmed to be appearing at Washington State SummerCon in Puyallup over the summer this year. I'm excited. I'm going to be going there.
What do you think of all these books? Do any of these books make you want to read something? Let me know in the comment section below. What does X-Men 94 make you want to read?
Honestly, I don't love X-Men. It makes me want to read Ultimate X-Men. That's my favorite thing that X-Men has done in years. Pete Momoko, writing, drawing. It doesn't feel like X-Men, which is probably why it works for me. Go give that a shot. It's weird, it's different, it's a slow burn, but I'm really enjoying that book.
And as always,
geek responsibly.
Enough said. And that's the end of the video, Ryan.
And we made it.
We're all done. Hey, this week, can you make sure to announce 3 giveaways for Magic #1? And practice. How do people get this?
How do people get this? Well, you get this by signing up for our text message group. You go to comictom.com, a little pop-up will pop up and ask you for their phone number. You type your phone number in, and that's all you have to do. That's really it.
And you're in all of our giveaways going forward. This week, we're giving away 3 web store exclusives, and we will see you. Well, I'll see you next week. I'm going to C2E2, baby.
Tom's taking a little break. I say break, but it's not a break. He's going to be working extra hard for all of us. I will be here holding it down. See you in a couple days in the Trending 10.
We out.